Thanks, Tom. We are standing here getting ready for a fabulous movie night, hopefully, if this movie's as good as I hope it is. But if the weather is to be any inclination, it's sunny, it's peaceful, it's a little warm in the sun, but if you're in the shade, it feels nice. You can hear the birds chirping, but it's very, very pleasant. And you know, I can feel excitement in the air. Excitement for some love and thunder. That's right. If for some reason you just clicked on a random video, I'm on my way to go see Thor, Love and Thunder in an hour. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this movie. I really enjoyed Thor Ragnarok. I have never really been a huge fan of the Thor character in comics, though it's not like I hate him. I do enjoy him. But I really love Chris Hemsworth's portrayal of him in the MCU. I'm looking forward to seeing Natalie Portman back as Jane Foster and her mighty Thor. I love Valkyrie. Looking forward to seeing Christian Bale's Gore, of course. Just all the characters. I'm really hoping this movie is hilarious and fun. And if it's anything like Ragnarok, it's bound to be a good time. And you know, any night or just any day in general, when you know you're going to be seeing a Marvel movie premiere, that is a good day in my book. So let's hop in the car here and I will see you with my unedited review for Thor Love and Thunder when I get out. Well, after watching this movie, I definitely understand why it's called Thor Love and Thunder. I really love, see what I did there, how they tie that part of the title into the movie and how it ends. But I'm not going to spoil it. There are no spoilers here. This is my unedited review for Thor Love and Thunder. So don't worry. No spoilers, like I've said here. There will be a spoiler-filled review coming in a couple days. Now, if you watched any of my reviews for the past couple of movies that I've watched, I know I've said that. And that's my bad. I've wanted to get spoiler reviews out. It just hasn't happened. But there is a lot of spoilers in this movie that I want to talk about. So I'm going to do my best to get that out later on this weekend. But let's talk about what I can talk about without spoiling anything. So what did I think about this movie? I loved it. This movie is fantastic. It's funny. It's got tons of action. The characters are great. The stories that they go on are great. The characterizations, the building on what we already know, the building for new characters, introduction of characters, all this stuff is fantastic. Taika Waititi did a great job with this movie. Like he did with Ragnarok, I would expect nothing less. And he manages to surprise you. And he does things that you don't expect him to do. Now, sometimes he makes you think he's doing one thing and he does something else. Whatever it is, there's plenty in this movie that they don't spoil in the trailers, that they don't reveal in them, and it's fantastic. There's so much to love about this movie. But overall, what did I think of it? I gave you those thoughts. But how much did I love this movie? I think I liked it a whole lot more than Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Don't shoot me. I know some people might think that Multiverse of Madness has to be better. Just some of the stuff that happens in that movie is just great. But to be honest, I think I'm more looking forward to going back and rewatching Love and Thunder than I was to see Multiverse of Madness. Sure, there's plenty of that stuff in that movie that I loved and liked to watch. But Love and Thunder, I want to go back like tomorrow and watch it again. I know that's not going to happen, but I really am excited to go and watch this movie again because there's just so much enjoyment in it. If you liked Ragnarok, like I think I said, you will love this movie. If Ragnarok wasn't for you, I don't think this movie's going to win you over. at all. I will say, though, there is one thing to consider. If it's the humor that's got you turned off to Ragnarok or Love and Thunder, think about this. There was humor in the previous two Thor films, as in the first and second one. There was plenty of humor in those films. So it's just been building upon that. So, let's talk about some of the characters and some of the performances. Starting with Chris Hemsworth. He's Chris Hemsworth. He is Thor. He is fantastic. The journey he goes on is great. He nails the comedic timing here. His story is just another step in his evolution as a character. And you just love the character. There's nothing in this movie that Hemsworth does that takes your love, or I guess your dislike of the character, if you don't like Thor, down a notch. He's right there. He's on par with what he's done before. I'd say he even kicks it up some. And it's great. Just the interactions between him and Natalie Portman are great. Between him and Christian Bale, fantastic. The chemistry is there between all these characters, and it's clear they're having a great time making this movie. And right there at the head is Chris Hemsworth, leading the charge, showing them how to make a great Thor film yet again. So, what can I say? Chris Hemsworth knows his character. He knows what he's supposed to do with it. He knows where he wants to take it. And it's clear as day that all that is true about him. Natalie Portman returns as the mighty Thor. Not a spoiler, it's in the trailer. She's fantastic. I think this is probably the best Jane has been in any of the Thor films that she's been in. I didn't hate her like I know some other people did. I didn't love her, but I didn't hate her. She did what she needed to do. But she shines in this movie. She brings the emotion. She brings the impact that her life, where it's gone and what has happened to her, how it affects her. You see the inner struggle within. And you see her, how she's trying to hide things from people. You just see every struggle, every conflict that she's going through, whether it's how she feels about Thor, how she feels about what's happening to her, how she feels about being a Thor. Just all of that. It's there. She's great. I think, like I said, this is the best that Natalie Portman has ever been as Jane. And I love it. The costume on her looks fantastic. It's not exactly ripped out of the comics. There's definitely some things that are different, at least from what I'm remembering. But it looks great. They nailed the character. They nailed the look. This is the mighty Thor. Okay, moving on. Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie. I'm sorry, King Valkyrie. She's good. The more I think about it, I think she had a little bit more to do in Ragnarok. She definitely had a lot more action in that film. I don't know what the right words are, but where that might have been her action movie, her fighting movie. This is definitely more of a personal journey for her now. After being made King of Asgard by Thor, you see the toll it's taking on her. You see that she's not even sure of who she is, which seems to be a running theme in this whole movie, I'll just say. People not knowing exactly who they are or exactly what they want. But, hey, that makes them human. I'd like to know, or I'd like to see somebody, and if you're out there and you're watching this video, just go ahead and write in the comments. But I might not believe you. That there's somebody out there who has got it all figured out. They know exactly what they want to do. They know exactly who they are. Because I know I don't. And you see that with pretty much all the characters in this movie. And Valkyrie's just another one of them. She definitely stands out. She definitely gets in on the action. But like I said, this definitely feels more like it's an emotional film for her. Just everything she's dealing with. Again, that's not to say her action scenes aren't great. She's not a great character overall. But it just feels like she's taking a slightly back seat a little bit. But again, I want to reiterate, not in a bad way. She's fantastic through and through. I'm very pleased with Tessa Thompson in this role as his character in this movie. Taika Waititi is Korg. What can you say? He's funny. He's hard to take serious because, let's be honest, he's supposed to be the comedic relief in these films. Yes, Thor's comedic. Yes, Jane's comedic. So's Valkyrie. But if there's a character who is truly the comedic aspect of these films now, it's Korg. And man, there's things that, like I said, all these characters go on. Some things that Korg does that just will... I'm just going to say you'll be surprised with some of the stuff that happens. But again, he's a great character. He's there by Thor's side. And it's nice to have him back yet again to tell us the tale of the space Viking. But, of course, we have the most important part of any superhero movie. The villain. How is Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher? He's creepy. He's scary. But he does a great job of actually making you feel like, oh, okay, I understand why you're doing this. I don't approve of what you're doing. There's definitely should be other ways you can handle this. But given your situation, I can't say that I don't understand or I don't completely disagree with what you're doing. And they definitely set things up in a way that it's perfectly clear why he's doing what he's doing. And like I said, you understand it. It's another solid villain in my opinion. It might not be one of the best. It might not be in the top 5. But he doesn't feel like a useless throwaway villain that is just there for the hero to fight. He is in no way a Malekith. Those days are gone, at least as far as I'm concerned. The villains, they're pretty good overall. Still some not great ones in past films that have come up recently. But Gore is definitely one of the good ones as far as these movies are concerned. But I'm starting to get off track. But like I said, Gore is great. Christian Bale looks great. I can't remember when I actually saw Christian Bale as a villain. I didn't see his rat movie. I'm not sure what that's called. I can't remember. But man, he was creepy and great. Like, he was really, whoa, okay, barely scary. And there was part of me, I will admit, there was part of me that wanted him to say something, but then be like, I'm Batman. You know, I when it started, I couldn't help but just, the nerd in me wanted to see that. I knew it wasn't going to happen, but it took me like just a moment to disregard him as Batman and see him as Gore. But that's just me personally. Other surprises, other characters that show up, other performances by people are great. They all work. They're comedic. They do what they need to do. They move the story along. And that's another thing about this movie. For me, it moves at a very steady pace. It moves at a good pace. It's under 2 hours long, which works. You get from point A to point B to point C fairly quickly. I will say part of me wishes that there was something else in the middle. But if I'm being honest, I'm not sure exactly what I wanted or what you could put there. I mean, I have an idea, but to be honest, the more I think about it, it just wouldn't work. The music, soundtrack, fantastic. I love it. I feel like Taika Waititi is one step down from James Gunn. And the fact that I love the music James Gunn puts in Guardians films, and feels like Taika Waititi is taking some notes from him. Speaking of James Gunn, the Guardians, yes, they're in this movie. They're great. I definitely would have liked a little bit more of them. But if you go in expecting them to be in the whole movie, just a heads up, they're not. They're in like the first 20 minutes and then they're gone. Just so you're not surprised or like, where are they going? I want more. You've been warned about that. The one probably final thing I will say is this movie is chock full of comic book references. There's Easter eggs galore, which if you study the trailers or the TV spots, you'll see some of them. They do a great job of adapting the stories from the comics. They're not exactly the same, but for the most part, the key elements are there. Whether it's Gore the God Butcher story, whether it's Jane the Mighty Thor story, they do a really good job of adapting that, and I appreciated that. I appreciated that they remembered where these stories and where these characters came from, but made them their own. I will also say there is a love triangle in this movie. I'm not going to say what it is or who it is. That is just hilarious. I know some people are going to be like, what? This makes no sense when you see it. But for me, it was just hilarious. I loved every moment of it. Visually, it's stunning. It looks fantastic. It looks great. Like I said, the costumes are great. The locations look fantastic. The areas that are supposed to look scary and dark are great. I'm saying great and fantastic a lot, but that's what it is. This movie is just fun. It's dark when it needs to be dark, but it's fun when it needs to be fun. And it's emotional when it needs to be emotional, and it's funny when it needs to be funny. It knows what it needs to be and when it needs to be it. And I appreciate that. There's so much more I would like to talk about with this movie, but before I do that, I'm afraid that I'm going to get into spoilers, or what people here on YouTube would think are spoilers, because as far as I know, as far as I'm concerned, I have not mentioned anything that isn't either in the trailers or has already been released. The one other thing I do have to mention just now as I'm thinking about it are the goats. Thor's goats are hilarious. They're just funny. And what's even better is the fact that if you know Norse mythology, he has goats. There's goats that pull, I'm going to say his chariot, but I can't remember exactly what it is. So it's kind of funny and kind of interesting to see him have goats in this movie to carry on actual mythology. But that being said, what did you think of Thor Love and Thunder? If you've seen it by the time you watch this video. If not, what are your expectations? Have you liked the previous Thor films? Did you not like Ragnarok, so you're not planning to see this one? Did you love Ragnarok and you're really looking forward to this one? Whatever it is, let me know down in the comments below. And remember, no spoilers. This is not a spoiler video, and I do not like having things spoiled for me. So I do not try to spoil things for other people. But with that being said, don't forget, like I said, to comment, like, and subscribe down below. And until our next movie review or our next video in general, remember, read what you love, enjoy what you love, and let's all work for a better fandom. I'll see you next time.